Please welcome our president, Mr. John F. McManus.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Jim just said I was nice to you. You owe me a beer. I have a short message about a trip that I took recently up to a place called Montebello in Canada. As I'm sure a lot of you know, the Security and Prosperity Partnership meeting in Montebello, Quebec, in Canada, was held from August 20 to 22 just this year. The site just happened to be a luxurious hotel that had previously hosted a Bilderberger meeting, a gathering of the G7 economic leaders, and a meeting of the NATO generals. They always go to the nice places. The Montebello Chateau is at the very western edge of Quebec, right across the line from Ontario province and about 50 miles east of Ottawa, the national capital of Canada. Well, we got to Ottawa on August 19, and I and a friend went to a protest meeting that had been scheduled that afternoon, and I found I was in the midst of a pack of leftists. Excuse me. These were people protesting the Security and Prosperity Partnership. We had previously offered to speak at the gathering and was told very bluntly that they didn't want any right-wingers. Speakers at this gathering, which was the work of the Council of Canadians, included a Mexican from the even farther leftist political group in that country that has now seized control of the government there, a college professor who was very smooth but very leftist, an environmentalist, and several others. So we stayed for a while, and we figured we weren't welcome, and there wasn't anything we could learn there except to know that Canadians are protesting this thing are all on the left side of the aisle. We held a press conference on August 20th. It was well attended by Canadian journalists, and we did get a fair amount of coverage in the Canadian press, nothing in the U.S. press. If there was any in the U.S. press, I'm unaware of it. The press conference included Jerome Corsi, Howard Phillips of the Conservative Caucus, Tom DeWeese, whom you'll hear tonight, Bob Park of Veterans for Secure Borders out of Arizona, and a delightful woman named Connie Fogel. Now, Connie Fogel is the leader of the Canadian Action Party, and she's a delightful and well-informed lady from Western Canada who has started a little political movement, and she's the only Canadian I met during the whole time there that made any sense. We each made our statement at the press conference and answered questions. And Howard Phillips played a videotape from Ron Paul and read a message from Congressman Virgil Goode. That very morning, the Ottawa Citizen, which is the large newspaper there, published an op-ed piece by the U.S. Ambassador to Canada, David Wilkins. He's from South Carolina originally. The title of it, "We Will All Benefit from Continental Integration." Right? And in the article, he said, "While conspiracy theories abound, you can take it to the bank that no one involved in these discussions is interested in or has even proposed a North American Union, a North American superhighway, or a North American currency." Right? So he sure set us straight. I was asked about that at the press conference, and I simply said the man is making Pinocchio look like a piker. I don't know that everybody in the audience understood what I meant. But. So a reporter asked several questions, several other reporters did. Later we got into discussing the notion of conspiracy, and I quoted Richard N. Gardner's famous call for an end run around national sovereignty. I referred to David Rockefeller's admission that he's proud to be part of a conspiracy, and so on. And some of these reporters were quite surprised that we don't shy away from using the word conspiracy. So later that day, Bill Jasper, Jerome Corsi, and I drove out to Montebello. Corsi had press credentials, and we thought we could get into the hotel with him. Not so. When we got to about a quarter mile from the place, we ran into a couple of hundred scruffy demonstrators who had been bussed in from Montreal or elsewhere. They filled the need for distasteful opposition to the SPP. But the place was guarded, even a quarter mile away, by at least 100 soldiers or police, and they were standing shoulder to shoulder, blocking the only road into the chateau. Each of them equipped with a helmet, a mask, a shield, a club, and God only knows what else. They all looked like Darth Vader. And Bill Jasper has video camera, and he got some good footage of the forces blocking our way. The Darth Vaders had evidently thrown some tear gas before we arrived, and the canisters were still smoldering when we walked past. We all started to tear and cough and sputter. The tear gas reminded me of the Marine Corps training, the only other time I'd experienced it. I should tell you that Marine Corps training includes being put into a small little building, tear gas set off. You have to sing the Marine Corps hymn before you can leave. It was no fun. From the Hotel Montezuma to the Church of Tripoli. We learned at that point that only properly credentialed reporters were allowed to come, and they had to board special buses in Ottawa to be driven out to Montebello. Bill and I had press identification from the New American Magazine, but that wasn't good enough. Back in Ottawa, we tried to get credentialed, but we were told that we were too late, that the Royal Canadian Mounted Police would have to check us out before we could get approved. So we didn't get to the site of the SPP conference, but Jerome Corsi did. He had gotten the word about how to get the proper credentials ahead of time. Well, back home, Bill Hahn got me on several radio shows, and U.S. talk hosts wanted to speak to anyone who had been near Montebello. We sent them my press conference statement. I printed up a whole bunch of copies of the statement that I read at the press conference that we had, and we got quite a bit of coverage. U.S. talk hosts wanted that press statement. We did get some good airtime, even from some people who considered themselves leftist, as Bill has shown you. Now, one impression that I got, and I got most intensely, is that there's no right wing in Canada, except for this Connie Fogel and her small political party that she's starting out in the western part of Canada. I came away from the meeting saying, thank God for Robert Welch. Where would we have been without him and so many other groups that have started because we paved the way and so forth? At the press conference, I chatted with a lady who was very strongly opposed to the SPP and the NAU and everything about all of this stuff. And I noticed that she was wearing a T-shirt with a picture of Che Guevara on it. This is the opposition from Canada. And I came away thanking God for Robert Welch, for the John Birch Society, what he had started, and what we were able to do. So when they have another meeting, probably have another one next year, we'll get properly credentialed next time, and we'll go and we'll report on it. But maybe by the time next year comes around, there won't be any more security and prosperity partnership due to your efforts and the efforts of so many others. Go get them. Thank you.